Dollar. The next half hour has its baggage packed to take a trip with America's fabulous freelance insurance investigator, Johnny Dollar. At insurance investigation, he's just an expert. At making out his expense account, he's an absolute genius.
Expense account submitted by Special Investigator Johnny Dollar to Home Office, American Pioneer Life Insurance Company, Hartford, Connecticut. Attention, W.K. Green, General Manager. The following is an accounting of my expenditures in the case of Barton Drake, or how I played ducks and drakes with a drake who ducked. Expense account, item 1. $100 I'm charging you for 1 hour's sleep I missed answering your telephone call at 9 o'clock in the morning. Expense account, item 2. $1.50. I had to go out for breakfast. The Easter Bunny didn't leave me any eggs. Item 3, cab fare to your office, $1. Tip to driver, $1.
Good morning, Johnny.
Why don't we make that good night sometime soon? Shall we, Chickie?
Well, I've had to type up some of your expense accounts. I think maybe an evening with you might be fun. But business first. Old Stonewall's waiting for you.
Hasn't he gotten out of that military kick yet?
No, he still thinks he's a general. But to me, he's still just what he was before he ever went into the Army.
His belts never stopped fighting the battle of the businessman's bulge, huh? Well, forward march. Good morning, Mr. Green, sir. Mr. Dollar reporting as ordered, sir.
Eddie. Oh, yeah. What's this saluting and heel-clicking about?
Oh, I thought you might be homesick for some military courtesy.
Yeah, I'd be surprised to get any kind of courtesy from you. But we're not paying you to be polite. Sit down. Here. I got a job for you. Here. I had a copy made of the file in that case. You can take a look.
Thanks. Barton Drake, huh? Oh, yeah, I remember him. Let's see. Life insurance, $30,000. Beneficiary, Mrs. Barton Drake. Well, what is it? Is he dead or just dying?
Neither, we hope.
Well, if you'll pardon a little before-noon philosophy, just by living, a man is slowly dying of old age.
We have a statistical department to worry about that, Dollar. Your job is to find this man, Barton Drake.
Okay. What's the story?
As far as the company is concerned, the story started one night just short of 7 years ago.
Oh, that would make it 1942.
Yes, the same year I was called upon to fight for my country.
Yeah. In the insurance division, Pentagon Building, Washington, D.C.
Huh?
But don't get me wrong. Those who served can be just as proud of what they did as those who fought. As you were saying.
I merely used the word fight as a general term.
Yes, General. Barton Drake, one night about 7 years ago?
Yes. When we issued the life policy on Drake, he listed his occupation as that of hardware store proprietor.
Hardware? As I recall it, he specialized in unregistered pistols, handcuff keys, and hacksaws. And if I'm not wrong, at the time he disappeared, he was under suspicion of grand larceny and wanted for assault with intent to kill a police officer.
Yeah, that's right. At the time, he was suspected of a number of large robberies.
Now, refresh me on that cop shooting. How'd that happen?
You remember. When the police arrived at the house to pick him up, he opened fire from the bedroom window, made a dash for it out of the back to his own car. And there was a chase during which the car skidded and went through the rail of a bridge into the river.
Oh, yes. Now I remember, yeah. They never did recover the body or the loot. All they got back was a wet Buick.
Dollar, that was 7 years ago. At least it will be 7 years in 1 more week. At that time, Barton Drake will be declared legally dead by the probate court. His wife has already instituted proceedings.
And when the court says she's a widow, she says, I want my $30,000, and you have to pay it, right?
Exactly. But we're not going to pay that $30,000 if we can help it. At 9 o'clock this morning, the Missing Persons Bureau of the New York Police Department called us and gave us reason to hope that Drake is still alive.
What happened? Did they see him in a crystal ball?
And you don't know how close to the truth you came, Dollar.
Oh?
The Missing Persons boys have a new habit these days. Whenever there's a television show where there's a public crowd involved, they watch it. Last night, they think they spotted Barton Drake at the prize fight. Now, that's all we've got to go on, but we think he's alive and that he's somewhere in New York.
Well, that's a start anyway. I know where to find New York. Expense account item 4, $7. Mileage, Hartford to New York. I stopped in Bridgeport to soak up a dish of coffee and whatever information there might be in the insurance file. Of the two, the coffee was the stronger. All I learned from the file was Drake's physical measurements, the birthplace of his mother, his wife's maiden name, the last known quotation on his blood pressure, and his home address in Manhasset, Long Island, to which I went. The house had a $40,000 look about it, and its grounds were being secured by a gardener who had a $12 a day look about him.
Yes, sir?
I'd like to see Mrs. Drake. Here's my card.
Yes, sir. Step in, please.
Thank you.
If you wait here in the hall, sir, I'll go tell her you're here.
Maid had a $40 a week look about her and completed the picture of prosperity. For a hardware merchant, Barton Drake had died leaving his wife living a soft life. Either that or he was still alive and not giving his wife grounds for divorce on the basis of non-support. Or she was that certain kind of gal who wouldn't have any trouble making that certain kind of man get up that certain kind of money. And when I saw her, I knew not only that I couldn't afford her, but that Drake probably hadn't been able to, which probably led to his undoing. Just to give you an idea, she was wearing a diamond necklace and a negligee, and it was 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Mr. Dollar?
Mrs. Drake?
Yes, Stella Drake. I'm having breakfast. Won't you come in and join me?
Well, I'll join you, but no breakfast. I just had a tomato surprise. Lunch.
Oh, I'm glad you didn't mean me. Come on, right in here. Are you sure you won't have some breakfast?
No, thanks. I couldn't bring myself to hurt that poor, tired trout you've got there.
Oh, please. That's a genuine English kipper.
Oh, I beg your pardon. I didn't recognize it without its monocle.
Oh, you're more fun than an eye-opener. I should have you around when I get up every day.
Well, I have something to tell you that should make you really feel good.
You don't mean that bunch of stuffed shirts at the insurance company have decided to give me my money without going through all that fuss at probate court?
Oh, I've got better news than that. You may not get that money.
What?
But we think you have a chance of getting your husband back.
What?
Yeah, the New York police think they saw him last night. Alive. Oh. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe that doesn't make you happy.
Why, yes. Yes, of course it makes me happy, but to live without a man for 7 years and then have a stranger just sit across the table and calmly tell you he's alive, it's just too much. Tell me, where did they find him?
They didn't. They think they spotted him at the fights they were watching on television. I imagine they're looking for him. I know I am.
Well, it's impossible. If he were alive and back in New York, he'd come to me.
That's what I was hoping, Mrs. Drake.
Well, I don't believe it. Why would he do a thing like that to me? Why would he make me suffer all these years? I think you'd better go now. I've got to be alone. I've got to think. Oh, Barton, why? Why? Please, Mr. Dollar. I won't be alone.
I figured if she wanted to be alone, it was for a good reason. Because that lather she'd gotten into was strictly from soap opera. She flooded me to the door on a tide of tears. Once outside, I picked up the hedge clippers the gardener had conveniently left near the front walk and pruned the telephone wires leading into the house. Then I took a plant on the place from the other side of the street. I figured Mrs. Drake would want to share her troubles with somebody, and with the phone wires cut, she'd have to leave the house to do it, giving me a chance to follow her. And that's the way it worked out. She led me someplace, all the way into New York City, but not to Barton Drake. That would have been too easy. Once in Manhattan, she headed for a drugstore and a telephone booth. I slipped into the phone booth beside hers. I got the receiver off the hook and my nickel in the slot in time to use an old trick of mine. As she dialed, I tried to duplicate it with my phone. She dialed. And I dialed. I was just one number behind her all the way. When she was through dialing, I held off dialing the last number on my phone until she got an answer. And then I let it go. the number she was calling was busy. There was room for coincidence, but it was good enough for me. I jotted down the number I'd gotten on my little telephone game of tag and then listened.
I got to see you right away. We're in trouble. All right, I'll meet you in 20 minutes. The usual place.
The usual place turned out to be the usual place to meet trains, Grand Central Station. But no train ever pulled into where Mrs. Drake went. As a matter of fact, no man ever did. Unless he was a plumber, maybe. That's right, where the ladies go to powder their noses things. She came out 30 minutes later alone, but she never hit the street. Instead, she went through the tunnel into the adjoining Commodore Hotel and checked into room 407. The only room I could get was 1313. Expense account item 5, $10. Tip to hotel detective for keeping an eye on the eyeful in 407. Item 6, $35. Purchase of portable phonograph. Item 7, 65 cents. Purchase of phonograph record, Frank Sinatra singing night and day. With this for ammunition, I went back to my hotel room and, gunning for a bird I'd never seen, I set up the phonograph near the telephone, put on the record, and placed it all to the number Mrs. Drake had called earlier in the day.
Hello.
Hello there. 7 p.m. again, and this is your favorite disc jockey, Happy Jack the Money Man. Yes, your favorite disc jockey, your spinner with the winners. Tell me, are you listening to our show?
My radio is not on. Goodbye.
Oh, hold the phone, madam. A little thing like that doesn't make any difference to Happy Jack. Here's all you have to do to win a house full of prizes. You just listen closely over the phone and identify today's puzzle platter, and you'll win all these wonderful prizes. A genuine Sunbeam Mixmaster that makes those fresh little eggs just happy to get beat up. Yes, and you'll clean up with the next prize. Make a real clean sweep with a Hoover vacuum cleaner with all attachments and no strings attached. And to send you tripping happily through life, you'll also receive a handsome set of easy-to-lug luggage, a pair of Gladiator bags. Are you interested?
Why, of course I am.
All right, then. Here's the tune.
Night and day.
There it is. What's the title of that song?
Night and day.
You're right. You win all the sensational prizes. Quickly now, give me your name and address. They'll be delivered tonight.
Mrs. Knott,
Yes, Mrs. Knott. The street number?
127 East 89th Street, apartment 3C.
Thank you, Mrs. Knott. You'll get the whole works immediately. Expense account, items 8, 9, and 10. $39.50 purchase of Mixmaster, $79.50 purchase of vacuum cleaner, and $89.50 purchase of luggage. You may resent this expenditure, but there's one thing you must remember. Nobody can resist trading their name and address for something for nothing. I felt like an out-of-season Santa Claus when I knocked on the door of apartment 3C at 127 East 89th Street. The frame suddenly became a picture frame encasing a live version of Whistler's grandmother, complete with wheelchair and crocheted afghan.
Just bring them in and set them down.
Yes, ma'am. I'm Happy Jack, and I'm glad to meet you.
Right in here and set them down.
Ah, yes. There you are, Mrs. Knott. You lucky woman, you.
Is that all?
Almost. Now, all we need from you is a little information. Just some background on today's winner to pass along to my radio audience.
Be off with you, young man. I'll write you a letter.
Come now, Mrs. Knott.
Never mind. I have no time now.
Just a few questions while I check you out on the Hoover.
I don't need any checking out. Now go away.
I must say, Mrs. Knott, you're a bad winner. So now I'm afraid I'm going to have to stick around to find out how good a loser you are.
What do you mean? Come in.
You.
Stella, do you know this man?
Do I know him? He's that insurance investigator, Johnny Dollar.
Granny came flying out of the wheelchair, multiplying in height by 3. When I first saw Granny's hand flying toward me, it looked like there was an old-fashioned wedding ring on each finger. But just too late, I saw it was only a set of brass knuckles.
In just a moment, we'll return to the second act of Yours Truly.